Hello, I am Darth Vangoff, and I just saw Star Wars The Last Jedi. I don't know how I feel about the movie. I sort of do. It's going to take me a little bit to process what I just saw, and I'm making this movie on opening day on December 19th, and it's about almost 12 o'clock midnight, and I'm going off memory here, and I'm in a rush to do this video, and I'm not going to edit it. And partially I'm not going to edit it because I have technical difficulties. That's why I'm doing this video a little bit different than my other videos. And I'm doing this in a hurry because I want to get my voice out there. And also because I might delete this video December 30th and might keep, or December 31st, and I might keep my channel private for the first few months of 2020. But yeah, let's just say that I have some criticisms I want to get off my chest, and if I'm going to not have my channel available after the new year, then I want to say what I have to say right now, and that is I half think this movie is good. I also half think it's a turd show. Half of my feelings is it's a turd show, and I say that to keep the language appropriate here on YouTube, but it's half good, half a turd show. Yeah, so I don't want to actually give you a review of the movie. I just want to get some things off my chest. That's all I want to do, is just give some things off my chest. And yeah, wow, I have about 5 things I want to say about this movie, or maybe 6 things. I wrote them down here. Let's see, how many do I have? I have 5 main things that I just want to say about this movie, just to give you an idea what it is. But I don't want to spoil the movie for you. So I don't want to spoil the movie for you, but I want to give you an idea of what you're going to see. That said, I will have some amount of spoilers. I will keep them to a bare minimum. I will keep the spoilers to a bare minimum, but I have to mention spoilers in order to fully, accurately give the critiques I want to give. So I will keep the spoilers as vague as possible. There will be spoilers. So you've been warned, and here is just what I want to say about what I've seen. And I'm just going to make 5 points that I just want to make about the movie. And that's all this video is, just 5 points. But here it goes. Like I said, I just got back from the movie. I'm going off memory. So if I get any facts wrong, maybe I won't have these criticisms when I see the movie a second time. And maybe there might be like when it comes out on DVD, there might be a director's cut that might have deleted scenes that explain things. But you know what? I'm going off memory. I'm going to just do it. Here it goes. So, there is a point in this movie in which there is a point in the movie in which the good guys are mounting a mounted turret weapon, and they're supposed to shoot at something. Then the action cuts away. Not to cut away to show what has been happening for the past 5 minutes, but rather it cuts away and then to what's going on in the present, and then 5 minutes pass. Then it cuts back to the guys on the turret, and they then just start shooting at what they were supposed to be shooting at 5 minutes ago, or at the very least 4 minutes 30 seconds ago. So yeah, just to give you an idea of how choppy this movie is, it is just, the bad guys are about to shoot, good guys are about to shoot something, cuts away, 5 minutes later, they still haven't shot at what they're shooting at, and then they shoot. Yeah, wow. That's point number 1. I just, again, this is just stuff I want to get off my chest, and just random rants. Number 2. So, there's a part where the good guys are on a planet, and they're in a crowd of people. The First Order is in hyperspace, and the First Order find out where they are. And the good guys realize that the First Order knows where they are, so they try to head back to their ship and try to get through the crowd. As they get through the crowd, they're intercepted by stormtroopers. And this is not like taking them an hour to get through a big, huge crowd. There's a crowd. It is fairly big, but it takes like a minute to get back to their ship, or maybe 2, or however long. And then, and the bad guys are in space, in hyperspace. Not even in orbit around the planet, hyperspace. Stormtroopers show up. even if the First Order had a garrison on the planet that has stormtroopers in them, they would still have to relay the message to that garrison to say, hey, there's some dudes we need you to get over here. Well, first, the guys on the First Order ship that's in hyperspace have to get to their communications. Then they have to relay the order to the garrison and get someone to pick up. Then whoever the radio man is at the garrison would have to go round up whatever stormtroopers they can to say, hey, we need some guys to do a raid on this crowd of people. Then those stormtroopers have to actually get there. However, as soon as the First Order knows that the resistance is on that planet and the good guys are in that crowd, stormtroopers show up. So imagine, your mother, you're in your bed, you're in bed, right? Your mother comes in and says, hey, I need to go to the store for me, right? So, you gotta get dressed out of your pajamas into real clothes, get in your car, drive to the store. But then imagine, like, your mother wakes you up to go to the store, and then 60 seconds later, you're in the cereal aisle. You're in the cereal aisle all dressed in your clothes already. And you're picking up the cereal you want. 60 seconds. And let's say the store is only, like, a few blocks away, right? Well, you still have to get out in your clothes, get dressed, and walk over. No, just like that. Imagine, and you know what? Let's say the garrison was even right next to that crowd, which it wasn't, because you got like a far shot of the crowd, and you sort of saw that it was in the middle of nowhere, right? So it's in the middle of nowhere. I don't think there's going to be a First Order base just like around on the other side of that hill. I don't think so. But let's say there was, right? Well, no, there wasn't, because the stormtroopers had vehicles they needed to get there. So the stormtroopers couldn't just like walk out their front door of the garrison and the crowd was there. They had vehicles there, so they needed to get vehicles to get there. Yet, even if they only had to go drive the vehicles a few blocks, they still had to walk over to the vehicles and, drive them. So basically, in the time it would have taken for a stormtrooper to walk to his car and take it out of park and drive it out of the hangar or driveway, the stormtroopers are right there at the crowd of people. Imagine if you're in a race with someone and you have a 50-meter head start. You have a 50 light year head start on them, and then as they're running down the lane, this race starts. 30 seconds later, you're in front of them, about intercepting them. Imagine that. Anyways, just a random rant. This is all this video is, random rants. Anyways. 3. Oh, this one. Oh, gosh. Okay, I'm reading off a school script here. Hopefully I don't sound reedy, but there is needless bickering among the heroes. So there are times when, like, there's Poe, Rey, Finn, and they're arguing with each other, and I don't understand it. I really, really don't understand it. In fact, I think it's immersion breaking. It's, in my humble opinion. When I saw Poe and Rey breaking out into an argument, like on the jungle planet, I was just like, why are they arguing? So there's two reasons I could think of. One, it is a really bad attempt at humor that falls flat on its face. And I just have a hard time buying this, even though I think it could have been going that direction. And then it's like, in another scene, Poe is like interrogating, for lack of a better word, Finn. He's like asking him a question, but in a really like inquisitorial, confrontational way. When it just seems like he's curious about something. So I really don't know. And then they sort of start getting into a fight, but then stuff happens in the cave and they get distracted, and then whatever. But yeah, I just think it's so needless. Like, what really? Why? It just seems like there's internal conflict that's shoehorned in there. So, and I don't know how other YouTubers might. If other YouTubers will surely have their own videos on this. I have not seen any other YouTube video. In fact, I have 2 YouTube channels. I logged off my main one, the one where I like save playlists and all that, and I immediately logged into this one, where I have no playlists saved and I don't watch other videos on this channel. So I have not been getting any recommended feeds. I have not been seeing any YouTube videos that gave spoilers, except one, like a kind of spoilery one that I watched last night. But so I don't know how other people feel about this, but I felt like the film either had a horrible attempt at humor. I'm trying to keep my language appropriate here for YouTube. Either it was just horrible humor that fall flat on his face, or they were trying to make Poe into a toxic male. And I want you to understand, I saw The Last Jedi, and I liked the movie, and I understand why other people don't like it, but I don't agree with it. And I don't think Poe is the toxic male people made him out to be. But in this movie, I think now I see it. Only because the only other explanation for what I see is horrible humor. So either the humor's horrible as can be, like horrible, and it's so horrible, if it is humor, it's so horrible, I have a hard time seeing it. Or they're trying to make him a white toxic male, which I, disagreed with when I heard that criticism about the previous movie, but I just am at a loss to have a really solid explanation for why this humor was here. Like, I don't think the fighting between Poe, Finn, and Rey actually matches their characters. Granted, maybe we haven't gotten enough time in the previous movies to actually learn about their characters. And all the fighting between Poe and Holdo in the previous movie seemed to have like a lead up. Like there seems to be like some underlying issue causing it. Here it just seems out of the blue, sudden. There's just boom, hey, the characters are fighting among themselves. It seems contrived. Anyways, I do want to move on to my next point. I don't want to linger on this point too much. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm reading my notes I wrote here. Oh gosh, let me... Wow. I really have to mention this, but I don't want to because, oh my gosh, this is just a cluster, and then insert the word here that's not appropriate for me to say on YouTube, but... Okay. So... Okay. There's a MacGuffin in this film. Well, first off, for the purposes of this video here, I'm going to use a word MacGuffin loosely. So just something that the characters want. And it's going to be used very loosely. And I know maybe some people might have more specific definitions of MacGuffins, but for the sake of this, I'm using the word MacGuffin, for lack of a better term. Anyways, there is a MacGuffin in this film. There's more than one. So there's a point in which the characters are supposed to advance the plot, and they can't because they're lacking information. So they're stuck, and they don't know what to do. And then, well, before I mention that, actually, forget what I said about the MacGuffin plot advancing the characters. So first off, I walk into the theater, and I see a toy for this movie. It is of a character I have not seen before. It's of... Well, just so you know the character when you see the film, it's a droid. A white and green droid. And so, okay. So, I'm like, well, I didn't see that character in the trailers, but okay, that's a new character in this film. Okay, sure. Alright, so I go in the movie, and of course, the film has a character. This character is introduced in a very sudden way that's just like, BB-8 finds this character. And it's like BB-8's new friend. It's like, you randomly walk upon someone, and they're your new friend. They are your new friend. Sorry, I'm having a hard time talking. They are your new friend, out of the blue, for no reason. And so they just suddenly introduce this character. It has just he, because it has a male vocalator, a male voice. It's just in a few scenes. Basically, he's just out there, and all he does is give exposition for the characters to advance the plot. Now, the reason why I have a problem with this is because this is like the second MacGuffin in the film. There is a third MacGuffin that Luke's Force Ghost shows to Rey that makes this MacGuffin completely irrelevant. So, this second MacGuffin doesn't give complete information. And so the characters are at a loss because they have more information to advance the plot, but still not enough to advance it fully. Then Luke's Force Ghost shows Rey something that eventually leads up to them getting the information they needed anyways, making this MacGuffin useless, so why include it? And I think it's because they already made the toy for it. They could have edited this guy out of the movie completely, and they probably edited 80% of him out of the movie because he's barely in it. He shows up, there's like a little scene with him, and then it's him being the MacGuffin. I say MacGuffin, again, loosely, because this is something the characters should be after. So this is a character that has information the main characters want to advance the plot. The good guys should be after this to get that information, but by the time they find out he's a MacGuffin, they already have him, and he already gives them the information. Now, so one thing is, a lot of you might be saying, so if you've seen the film, and you're watching this video, you may say, hey, there was a reason they needed that MacGuffin in the film, the second MacGuffin, the one that becomes obsolete. And that is because there's a fourth MacGuffin. Again, I'm using the term MacGuffin loosely, so something the characters are just after. Whether they want to keep it, destroy it, whatever. And this fourth MacGuffin is an antenna. And this second MacGuffin talks about the fourth MacGuffin. And Luke's third MacGuffin doesn't talk about the fourth MacGuffin, and so that's why they needed this character. However, there is so early in the movie it's established that there's a spy in the First Order, and this spy could have given them the information about the antenna. There is no reason why the spy would... I don't want to spoil the movie and say who the spy is, but the spy would have known about this antenna. Like, there is absolutely no reason the spy would have given the Resistance all this information about what the First Order is doing and not told them about the antenna. The spy would have told them about the antenna. I mean, why wouldn't he? So, it's just, so basically, if the spy gave the characters information about the antenna, and Luke's third MacGuffin gave him all the other information that I don't want to mention for spoiler reasons. I don't want to keep spoilers to a minimum. But I have to mention the antenna because it's going to come up on the next point. So, if part of the information the characters lacking could have been given by the spy, and Luke's third MacGuffin gave the other information, then this second MacGuffin, the droid, might not have needed to exist. It could have been completely edited out of the movie. No one would have noticed. Like, if you edited all the scenes with this character out of the movie, and then they just, said, the spy in the First Order, the mole that's been feeding Resistance information, gave them the information about the antenna, well, you know what? You would have noticed something was missing. In fact, I noticed something was missing because this character was in the movie, because it seems like they cut the character out 80%. It's just so random. Now, before I go on to the fifth point, I do have to mention, a lot of you might be thinking, wait a minute, I got my MacGuffins wrong. What I refer to as the second MacGuffin, the droid, is actually the third MacGuffin. Luke's MacGuffin is the fourth MacGuffin, and the antenna is actually the fifth MacGuffin. And that's because, if you use my term MacGuffin loosely, the opening text of the movie, the opening crawl, mentions the actual first MacGuffin, and then the second, what I thought of as the second MacGuffin, which I have not mentioned, but spoilers have mentioned, that's actually the second MacGuffin, and then, the droid's the third, but you know what, whatever. I'm just, okay, I just realized, I'm not editing this video, so I got my MacGuffin count wrong. Seriously, this movie should have been called Star Wars: The Rise of the MacGuffin. I mean, I was just... Okay, so anyways. Just to move on to the next point. Now, about that... So there's a massive plot hole in this movie. Massive plot hole. I think. I'm not even sure if this plot point even had a point. Anyways. So, about that antenna MacGuffin. So... Okay, this was an antenna. I'm going to have to do a little bit more spoilers than I want to, but basically the good guys have to destroy the antenna. When they destroy the antenna, they realize the First Order has a second antenna, so that would be yet another MacGuffin. And so they have to they come to the conclusion that even if they destroy the first antenna, the First Order has a second antenna, and the good guys will fail. So the good guys go after the second antenna, in exclusion to the first antenna, only because the bad guys are now using the second antenna, because the bad guys realize the good guys were going after the first antenna. Well, the good guys destroy the second antenna. And there is nothing stopping the bad guys from just pushing a button and starting and going back to using the first antenna. There's nothing. So the good guys have to divert the forces going to that first antenna to the second, in exclusion of going after the first antenna. And they don't touch the first antenna at all. Like, whoever directed this movie forgot that there was that first antenna. Because if you were in the mind of the First Order, like, say you were in the First Order and you were there, what would you have done? Once the second antenna was destroyed, you would just push the button and use the first antenna. They completely forgot that they had a first antenna in the movie. Whoever directed this movie, or edited it, or whoever wrote the script, whoever, forgot that there was the first antenna. So the First Order, the good guys need to destroy an antenna to destroy the First Order, and found out there was actually two antennas. They destroyed one, and then the other was just left there. And you're thinking, well, you know, the good guys won in the end, so the bad guys couldn't use the first antenna. Well, yeah, the good guys didn't win like 30 seconds later, so like it only takes a second to use that first antenna. I mean, the first antenna was like a huge plot point, but then when there was a second antenna, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. And not only that, when they're going after the second antenna, I mean, it's not clear how they're breathing in space. Like, they don't have spacesuits, and they're like on the outside of the ship, and they're not floating. So is there gravity? Are they on a planet? I think it's like a nebula, where it's like gas is like just sprayed out throughout like a region of space. But is it breathable? And does it have gravity? I don't know. It's like, are they on a planet? I don't even know if they're on a planet. And a lot of people, like, if you read the leaks, they say there's like an iceberg planet, and they point to like an iceberg planet in the trailer. No, that's a separate iceberg planet. And then in this scene, I think like it's not. I don't know if they're on a planet or on a second iceberg. There's like a second iceberg thing, and it's not clear if they're on a planet. If it has atmosphere. Yeah, two iceberg things. So you think, oh, the spoilers prove the iceberg. The trailer proves the iceberg spoiler. No, the iceberg in the trailer is a separate iceberg, and then this other iceberg. I don't know. I don't even know if it's an iceberg. You didn't get a good look at what this thing was, anyways. You know, I don't want to mention the spoilers too much because I don't want to confirm or deny them. I don't want to spoil the movie, or I don't want to mention the leaks. I should say the leaks. I don't want to mention the leaks too much because I don't want to confirm or deny them too much. But yeah, and in fact, you know, I mentioned all the MacGuffins in this movie. So I mentioned there's like, technically, if you count the one in this spoiler, the opening crawl, and then the one in the leaks that came out, and then the droid, that's the third one. Then the Luke's MacGuffin that he shows Rey, that's the fourth, and then the two antennas, fifth and sixth, and then Rey herself is a MacGuffin, so she's number 7. Like, this movie should have been called Star Wars: Rise of the MacGuffin. Okay, so just to stop giving you complaints and just criticisms, I'm making this video to talk about 5 plot points. So just to say something good about this movie, Lando Calrissian was good. I think he's the best character in this movie. I kind of half liked Poe, but half didn't like him. I half liked Finn, but then just, like, I don't know, like, was miffed about him. Rose was in this movie, and then she's not in this movie a whole lot, but okay, I mean, she's there. There's nothing wrong with what she does. I mean, okay, she's there, yeah. And, I mean, the movie gave me a sense of like the stakes, and made me feel like the good guys were in a pinch and had morale problems, and were like, "This is our last stand. We must do this." And I don't know. Like, there's a lot about this movie I do like, but there's just stuff I want to complain about. And okay, so in the trailer. Okay, I don't know how much you've been following this, the trailers for this movie on YouTube, the trailers that come out, and people's reaction to the trailers. But there's this part where Kylo's fighting a bunch of dudes in like a forest, and everyone was like, "Whoa, who are those dudes Kylo's killing?" And there's like all these theories of who those guys were. Be prepared to be disappointed. I don't know who those guys are, and I saw the movie. I don't know who those guys that Kylo was fighting in the forest. This stuff happens haphazardly in this movie. I believe, so there's a lot of leaks about how it was reshot, and then reshot again, and then reshot again, and then just like edited multiple, each shot was edited probably more than once in the editing room. I believe it just because of how choppy and haphazard this movie is. Like, Lando is what makes this movie cool, in my opinion. But also how the other characters react to Lando. Except at the end, there's like this girl at the end who approaches Lando, and I don't know. Like, this is like at the last 30 seconds of the movie, and I just don't know what that was about. Like, why did that girl approach Lando? Sorry, I'm going on a rant here, but hey, this video is a rant. But there's some things that make this movie great, and others that make this movie pathetic. And that's what I wanted to explain here is more what made this movie pathetic. Seriously, this movie should have been called Star Wars Rise of the MacGuffins. Anyways, I'm Darth Vangoff. I just saw the movie. This is just an immediate reaction. It is a bit run on. Sorry if it is, but you know what? Thanks for being a trooper, and thanks for listening. And just before I end, there's probably like 5 people who've been following this channel. This is like my 6th video. For all of you, I appreciate you, but you've been probably waiting for 2 videos that I was supposed to put out regarding the Star Wars Saga Edition role-playing game. I don't want to get into why I haven't put those videos out yet. There is a reason, but they may or may not come out. YouTube's doing some changes. I'm going to probably put my channel private on December 31st and just see what goes on. I'm just going to stand back and just feel the waters before I make any more content. And just even have videos up on the internet. So this video will be taken down probably December 31st, or maybe put as private. And then, so if any of you like this video, be sure to watch it, and I don't know, just watch it and watch it again just to memorize it. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.